All right, people, we are ready to get started in our notes today. So if you would please close up your laptops. When we last looked at this last week, one of the things we were looking at was a new way for the Spanish to continue their agricultural work, and we figured out that they would need to go to the continent of Africa. And one of the reasons they go to the continent of Africa is twofold. One of the problems the Spanish had in utilizing slave labor with the natives that lived there was they did not have an agricultural society. So these were groups of people that were not used to doing agricultural work. The Africans had a fairly sophisticated society in which they incorporated and were agriculturally based. So those were skill sets that Africans had. The second part of the reason for using Africans were they needed also to find a group of people that would not become susceptible to those diseases borne by mosquitoes, malaria, yellow fever, and the Africans were able to get bit by those mosquitoes and not carry those same diseases. Modern day science has told us, with investigative science methodology, that the reasons why many of those Africans are not susceptible or don't get those tropical airborne diseases is the sickle cell anemia trait that they have, that Africans and now African Americans in our country have that trait for what's called sickle cell anemia, in which I think it's one of those blood cells, red or white. I don't know which one. Courtney, you have a pass, honey? Okay, she would email me? Okay. I don't know. I'm not a science person. Does anybody know sickle cell anemia, if it's the red or the white? It's the red. Okay, thank you. The red blood cell is shaped like a sickle. And so for whatever reason, that seems to offer some protection. So that's where we begin what we're going to move into in this part of our notes, this economic and trade system that becomes known as the Columbian Exchange. So that's what we're looking at. And that part of that Columbian Exchange, sadly, is the movement of people. So Europeans sought gold and silver in the Americas. So that's what they're looking for. In South America, they will find a little bit of gold, but mostly they're going to find silver. When we think about North America, or our part of the world, if you've ever seen the movie Pocahontas, that tells the story of the idea of what happened when the Virginia Joint Stock Company came to Jamestown looking for gold. There wasn't. That's mostly what these people were after, were these giant fields of gold that they saw or that they thought that they would find. They're not going to find it. Mostly they will find silver, which is still a desirable product, but not as much as gold. But what they really find that's going to really change both the economic systems and the way that people live will be all the other stuff. Sugar, cotton, different kinds of dyes, vanilla, hides of animals, all are going to flow into Spain. And then what the agricultural products will be potatoes, coffee, corn, and tobacco. Those three things are native to this part of the world. So, especially for Europe, will be potatoes. Europe does not have potatoes. That thing is not there. It's from here. And when we think about what you can do with a potato, and I always have a hard time with this part because I love Lord of the Rings, and I have a hard time, potato, boil them, mash them, put them in a stew. If you don't like it, you don't get it. But if you do like it, you appreciate me inserting Lord of the Rings into our lecture. But potatoes are one of the most important agricultural crops. One, because you can do a lot of things with a potato. Two, how do you grow potatoes? Cut one and a half and stick it in the ground, right? Potatoes grow from themselves. So they become, you guys are all looking at me like you've never heard of a potato before. Or is it just because it's Monday? I'm like, what is she talking about? Okay. Coffee comes from South America. Two things in this list, potatoes, coffee, corn, tobacco, two things in this list are very, very addictive. And that would be coffee and tobacco. And if you're trying to make an economic success of a product, it is really nice to get a product that people are addicted to. When we ship coffee to the New World, we're not really sure how and what and how to drink it. So the beginnings of coffee are going to be like a really, really strong coffee. These people are like just going to grind up the beans and pour liquid in it. And it is a very, very strong mixture of coffee, way stronger than what we would think. When we think about these products, when they move into Europe, they're not only are they going to make an economic impact with just the coffee itself, but where do you drink coffee? Drink coffee in coffee houses. And so now we build up all of these external economic productions around these products. And then tobacco, of course, highly addictive. Most of the people in this time period are not smoking tobacco, they're sniffing tobacco. Those of you that watch a lot of movies and you pay a lot of attention to what some of these characters are doing, especially if you watch Pirates of the Caribbean and you watch Jack Sparrow always sniffing something, he was not sniffing cocaine. I know that's what it appears and but he was sniffing tobacco. So most of the tobacco is sniffed or used as a chewing tobacco or a snuff type product. It takes us a while before we put it in pipes to smoke, and then a way, way long time before it's rolled into cigarettes. Those products are going to make Spain incredibly wealthy, and I hope you can appreciate just from those four things how much Spain is going to gain wealth. Everything that leaves the New World goes into Spain. There are still, to this date, those of you that are adventurers and you like the ocean, Spanish ships that have sunk that are full of gold. Lots of them that never made it back and forth. They probably find one about every 5 years now. It gets easier and easier to find them with better and better technology. But these ships are full of gold and full of gold bullion, meaning coins. And finding those ships, you still get, even if you're searching for a company or you're searching for a country, you still get a 10% finder's fee, just like they say in National Treasures. So we got a lot of stuff moving across the ocean. And that, again, will give us a great economic boost. Portugal controls all the trade from the east. So from the east, that's Asia. They're getting spices. We already talked about the spices, but they're also getting jewels, silk, carpets, ivory, leather, and perfume. And all of those things, again, are not regularly seen in Europe. So now all of Europe wants in as part of this economic benefit. Other European nations seek the same economic benefits. And so now we start entering all these different rival companies. The English will establish trade with India. The Dutch will establish their trade with India, and they will form the Dutch East India Company to compete with England. And again, everyone wants the term would be a monopoly, meaning they want to form with India that you are only going to sell this to our country. And if you have that monopoly, you can set a price for that product. That game Monopoly, anybody play Monopoly still? I hate that game so much. It's a long, boring game, and it's incredibly dull and boring, especially if you play it and you don't really quite understand the object. And the object is not only just to buy all the colors, but the object is to buy one whole side of the board. That's the monopoly. If you get one whole side of the board, there's no way, once you get all your hotels and all that, that you can get, a person can get and move without stopping on one of your properties. That is the monopoly, or the other part is buying all the colors of the property. That's what both India and the Dutch want. They want this monopoly. They want control of this property. This commodity, so that no one else has it. And if you want to buy it, you have to buy it from us. So as a result of this, we also are going to form the West India Company to trade in the Americas. English are going to force the Dutch out in 1650 out of New York City. They're going to take control of the Dutch, and that will get the India trade, and now the English have control of North America. And by the 1700s, England had established a colonial seaboard along the North American eastern seaboard. So what we're going to look at today is something called the Columbian Exchange. And in this Columbian Exchange, it is a triangle that goes back and forth between Europe, Africa, and the New World. And in each part of that triangle, goods are being moved and goods are being transported. And with this Columbian Exchange, products will cross the Atlantic Ocean and be moved into continents where they had never been seen before. So our assignment today, because every now and then John Green can do things way better than I can, that is your assignment, is a crash course video with John Green, and it is the Columbian Exchange. I do have to say very quickly, remember how I told you guys that I would never go to a new world? Like, that would be too scary for me. One poster tempted me more than anything, and it was the Pink Land. If there was a continent known as Pink, what was it? Pink Island or Pink something? A land of pinkness. I would go there. So somebody tempted me. One person tempted me to go and be adventurous to a land of pink. All right, this crash course video, the worksheet is there. Again, we're thinking about and making sure you understand the movements of goods and the economic movements. Please make sure you pay attention to which countries are getting rich, right? There will be no countries in South America getting rich. It will not be an equal exchange of goods. Thank you. Right. Let me write that on there now so I don't count it as late, Andrew. And John, watch your time when Drew leaves. You can, and I'll hand you your crutches when it's, just holler at me.